Hello, hello, happy Monday, everybody. It is right about 1 o'clock, and I wanted to say hello and talk to you about inflammation. It's so interesting to me, so fascinating. Probably most people don't get this much of a kick out of talking about inflammation, but I do. So I wanted to come talk to you today because what I see in a lot of my clients is kind of this undercurrent of inflammation. So I'll kind of remind you what I've been talking about. I've been talking about the 5 wisdom bodies the last week. Been talking about the physical wisdom body, the mind wisdom body or mental wisdom body. Hey Jenny, how are you? The emotional wisdom body, the energetic wisdom body, and the spiritual wisdom body. Those are the 5 energy bodies that I usually work with clients when I'm working with clients, or like in this upcoming class that I'm teaching. It is really the framework for all that I do with my clients, because when you are able to look at each part and assess, is there an area that needs more attention, it can be hugely helpful in stepping forward in health problems that you're having, or even if you're just feeling stuck. So I want to talk about inflammation because it's common. A lot of people come to me with health problems, and there are lots of different reasons for inflammation. So first, let me talk about how you might know that you are dealing with inflammation. Some of the common signs are that you're having some sort of digestive problem. Fatigue is another one if you're feeling like you don't have a lot of energy. Perhaps it's skin problems. That can be another one that can show up, like eczema is one. If you had a lot of allergies, food allergies or seasonal allergies can sometimes be a sign that there's inflammation. Hey Kim, I'm glad you're here. And the other part is that it could be also mental, so it can be brain fog, or it can be a mood like depression or anxiety. Those can also be triggers or signs or symptoms that inflammation may be present in your body. So there's lots of information. I'm not going to go into a ton. I seriously could talk to you for hours about this. So how do you know it's there? Are those signs and symptoms? And most people think, oh, I have a digestive issue. I need to get some help with my digestion. Or I'm having fatigue. I need to do something to help me with fatigue. But what's interesting is that all of those symptoms, or autoimmune, that's another big one that can be a sign that there's inflammation. Autoimmune disorders like Hashimoto's or chronic fatigue, those can be ones that are a sign that there's probably inflammation. So all well and good, you have these signs that you're like, oh no, like I have that, I have brain fog. And Dr. Andrew Weil, who is someone that I've studied with, has said that, he thinks that most of the Western world actually has some sort of inflammatory reaction going on because of our Western diet, traditional Western diet, which is a lot of processed foods. So that gives you a clue into one way that you can start to look at it. Diet is a huge part to changing inflammation, and most people who are going about it will go about that route. Some people go the route of prescribed medicine to help, and that's another way to go. What I tend to talk about are looking at ways that you can change your diet to decrease inflammatory foods, as well as what can you do to increase those foods that are anti-inflammatory. So those are usually the antioxidants that you want to include. And hey Jan, thanks for being here. So antioxidants are a great way of fighting inflammation, and again, decreasing. So you have to cut out the foods that are not good for you and increase the foods that do actually help your body fight the inflammatory response. So some examples for that would be, like, some great easy foods would be fruits like strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, and I love that Jan's saying hello. I get to see her and interact with her. That's so fun. Those are really great examples of anti-inflammatory foods. Ginger is another great anti-inflammatory food that you can make a tea out of. I've talked about that before. In fact, I drink ginger tea every day. I make my own whole, I take whole root and I just cut it up and put it in hot water. It's so simple. In fact, it's easier for me than going to the store and buying a tea bag. I'd just rather have the ginger root. For me, some people find it easier to have a tea bag so they can throw it in a purse, and that's great too. Ginger tea works great as a tea bag also. But increasing foods that are anti-inflammatory is one particular way. But the other piece that most people don't know is that stress can be inflammatory. And so there's this connection with the mind-body, right? The mental body and the emotional body, and how those two work together to affect, your physical body. So when people are getting less sleep and are stressed, that also inflames the body. So even if you have a beautiful diet, but you're dealing with chronic stress, that can also lead to inflammation in the body. So I just wanted to talk about that and point that out, because shifts in the diet, let me talk about some things that are inflammatory that you can avoid, because that's sometimes the biggest thing that people can do. So let me circle back to that. So the mind, right, we're dealing with the stress that we're dealing with, and I'm seeing that I have a low network connection, so hopefully this is still working. So if we have the mind that we're dealing with and the stress, and we're doing the food as well, then we have this amazing ability to pull them together. So it's really fantastic. So let's talk about a few things that are really inflammatory. And I know people don't like to hear this, and that's going to be another talk this week, another live, is things that they don't like to hear are inflammatory are things like dairy. I know everybody loves their cheese. I used to be I used to eat cheese all the time, every day, and it was a staple in my diet. I no longer eat cheese because I was realizing that it was causing a lot of difficulties for me. There's a lot of brain fog, there was a lot of inflammation that was going on for me, and so I decided to not have dairy anymore. And I was the person who I told someone who suggested no cheese for me, I remember this, I said, oh no, I can't give up cheese, right? It's not possible. So here I am years later without cheese. So just to say, it is possible. And yes, I get it. That's how the brain works. So dairy is an inflammatory food. Often wheat can be, and mostly that's because of the way wheat is processed in the United States. Some people do actually have a reaction to the wheat protein, even if it is all organic and whole and not a problem with it. But that's a whole different live too. And the other thing that people don't always realize is how inflammatory sugar is. Sugar is a huge causes inflammatory response. And the other one that people don't like to hear, is anything that's processed. Anything that's processed, and meat is the other one that causes an inflammatory response. And by meat, I mean animal products in general. So any thing that was living and is no longer has an inflammatory process. Living like in a sentient being kind of a way. I hope that makes sense. So, so those are I'm seeing, I want to make sure that I'm still recording. So those are some things that are inflammatory. The way that you can support yourself is then by working with all of those. The mental body, the emotional body, and the physical body. And we can talk about the spiritual and the energetic connection as well with food. But those are the ways that I recommend that my clients who are struggling with inflammation, that they look at those pieces first. So I hope this is helpful. This is like just a little tiny slice of information about inflammation. And this is some of what I'll be talking about in my new course, the Whole Body Upgrade, that's going to be online. And it is beginning October 31st. And I'll put the link in the comments below. But I would love to have you join me. We're going to be talking about the 5 wisdom bodies and how those wisdom bodies can influence our health, and how we can, it's going to be a really interactive class so that you can use these tips, not just information, but how to do it in your own life. So I look forward to talking to you soon. I'll be back with another live very soon. I love this stuff. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.